Welcome to Digital Diva Daily.
This is commentary under fair use for review and educational purposes.
Today's scandal, up next.
So let's get into it. Roll the clip.
Our community is under attack and is being terrorized. These are workers. These are fathers. These are mothers. And this has to stop.
Join me as I dive into the chaos and try to understand how the ICE protests in LA spiraled out of control. The protests against ICE in Los Angeles have been making headlines recently, but things took a drastic turn when they escalated into full-blown riots. For those who might be wondering what sparked this chaos, let's take a step back and understand the context. The protests were initially peaceful gatherings where people voiced their concerns and demanded changes to immigration policies. One of the main issues driving these protests is the community's concern over the actions of ICE, particularly regarding their immigration enforcement policies. Many see ICE's tactics as overly aggressive and argue that they're causing undue harm to innocent people. Families and communities are worried about being torn apart by deportations they feel are unjust. There's also a growing sense of frustration among activists and community leaders who feel that ICE is not being transparent about its operations. They argue that this lack of transparency leads to mistrust and fuels further tensions. Moreover, the policies that ICE enforces are often seen as being at odds with the values of many in the community who advocate for more compassionate and inclusive immigration reform. As these concerns continue to build, it's not hard to see why protests would erupt. The protest events themselves drew a diverse crowd, with many attendees being part of the local community, activists, and supporters of immigrant rights. There were chants, signs, and a clear message being sent to authorities. The police response, however, seemed to escalate tensions, leading to a volatile situation. Eyewitnesses describe scenes of intense confrontations between protesters and police officers. The protesters were met with a significant police presence, and it seemed like things could go either way at any moment. The demographics of the protesters varied, but a large portion were from the local Hispanic community, along with activists from various backgrounds. This diversity added to the complexity of the situation. The turning point came when a group of protesters attempted to breach a police line, leading to a push and pull that quickly escalated. The reactions from both sides were instantaneous, with some protesters throwing objects and the police responding with force. This confrontation marked the moment when the protest effectively turned into a riot. The chaos spread rapidly, with multiple locations around LA being affected. There were reports of property damage and injuries. In the aftermath of the riots, there have been calls for greater accountability from law enforcement and changes to ICE's policies. Local authorities have been under pressure to address the concerns raised by the community. The outcomes of these protests and riots are still unfolding, but one thing is clear: the situation has reignited debates over immigration and police-community relations. If you have thoughts on what happened in LA or other recent protests, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. If you're interested in more content on recent protests and how they've been impacting communities, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Thanks for tuning into the channel. Comment below how you feel, and don't forget to subscribe.
Support the squad, like, share, or tip us a digital coffee if today's take gave what it was supposed to give.